The beggar nearly drowned, saving the prince's twin sons. What happened next moved everyone. Before we begin this beautiful period romance story, tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I love knowing where you're joining me from. The river had been quiet all morning, the kind of quiet that made Anna Weiss uneasy. Quiet meant people were watching. Quiet meant there was money to be made, if one stood in the right place, bowed at the right angle, and kept her voice low enough to be ignored, but not so low she disappeared. She kept her hands inside her sleeves. Her fingers ached from the cold. She had tied a strip of cloth around her shoes to keep the damp away, and it helped only a little. "Anna," called a boy from the path, cheeks red, nose running. "You're here again. Where else should I be?" she answered, not unkindly. He held out half a roll. "Mother says you look like you'll fall over." Anna hesitated. Pride always hesitated. Hunger never did. "Tell your mother she has a better heart than most," Anna said, taking the bread with a nod. "And you, run along. Your ears are turning purple. They are not." "They are," she said, and he laughed and ran, boots crunching on the frozen ground. She watched him go, and her gaze drifted toward the bend in the path where the fine carriages usually appeared. The river lay below, its surface filmed with ice, pale and deceptively solid. People talked about it as if it were a polished floor, as if winter turned water into certainty. Anna did not believe in certainty, not since she had learned how quickly a door could close behind her. A bell-like laugh floated down the slope. Another, sharper sound followed, the clipped voice of a governess trying to keep control. "Mind your steps," the woman called. "Felix, Lucas, do not run." Anna's stomach tightened in that familiar way it did around wealth. Not envy, not exactly. More like a warning. Wealth came with rules, and rules always found a way to press her down. She stepped aside, as she always did when the fine people approached. She made herself small, angled her face away, and prepared the right expression. Grateful, quiet, harmless. The first carriage stopped on the path above, and servants jumped down with brisk efficiency, placing a step, opening a door. Fur-lined cloaks, polished boots, gloves that looked too clean for winter. Then the prince himself emerged. Anna recognized him at once. Everyone did. Prince Karl von Hohenberg carried his title the way some men carried a sword, though he had no weapon in his hand. Straight back, steady gaze, no wasted movement. His face was not unkind, but it was trained. Trained not to show surprise, not to show doubt, not to show anything that could be used against him. Two boys tumbled out after him, nearly tripping over each other, bright as sparks. Twins. Everyone in Vienna had heard of them. Anna had seen them only from afar before, a flash of blonde hair and laughter behind palace gates. "Your Highness," the governess said, breathless from chasing them even before they had begun. "The ground is uneven and the river is frozen," one boy announced with triumph. "That does not mean it is safe," the governess replied, as if repeating a lesson she had delivered 100 times. The other twin grinned at his brother. "I can stand on it. I can. You will not," the governess said. Prince Karl glanced down the slope. His eyes passed over the scattered townsfolk, the servants, the guards, the curious onlookers lingering at a respectful distance. His gaze touched Anna's position for half a heartbeat, as if noting a shadow by the wall, and then moved on. Anna kept her head bowed. She told herself it did not matter. A prince looked through people like her as naturally as he breathed. A lady in a pale cloak stepped out, elegant even in winter. She moved toward the prince with a familiarity that suggested rank and closeness. "Karl," she said, "you promised they would not go near the water." "They will not," he answered, but his voice held that edge adults used when speaking to children who never listened. The twins were already inching away, captivated by the white sheen of the river. "Felix," Karl called, and the boy froze, too innocent to hide, too bold to be ashamed. "Yes, father." "Stay where I can see you." "I am where you can see me." "You are also where you should not be." The boy flashed a smile that might have softened stone. "But father, it looks like glass." "It is not glass," Karl said, a little more sharply. Anna's gaze lifted despite herself, not to the prince, to the boys. Children did not understand danger the way grown people did. They understood in moments. They understood when a hand snatched them back, when a voice rose, when a rule came with consequences. They did not understand the quiet kind of danger, the kind that waited for one wrong step. "Your Highness," a gentleman said nearby, "a remarkable day for the season. The ice is thick enough for a small carriage, I'm told." The governess turned on him as if he had offered the boys a sweet. "Sir, do not say such things in front of them." The gentleman chuckled, unbothered. "I meant no harm." Anna's shoulders tightened. Harm rarely meant to be harm. It simply happened, and the poor learned to live with it. Coins clinked somewhere behind her. Another beggar, older, coughed. A servant looked toward them with annoyance and shifted position to block the noble's view, as if poverty itself were rude. Anna swallowed her bite of bread and forced her face into stillness. The twins darted again, not toward the carriage, not toward the path, toward the slope that led down to the river. "Boys!" the governess cried, and her voice broke in panic. Prince Karl strode forward in 3 long steps. "Felix! Lucas! Enough!" They slowed only because he was close now, but the lure of the river had already caught them. "May we go down?" Lucas asked, eyes bright. "Just to look." "To look," Felix echoed quickly, as if repeating it made it safer. Karl looked at the lady beside him who had gone pale. Then he looked back at the twins. "You may look," he said carefully. "From here." The twins' faces fell in dramatic disappointment. "You are the strictest father in all Austria," Felix declared. A few nobles laughed. Karl did not. "I am a father," he said. "That is enough." Anna felt something twist inside her at the words. Not admiration, not resentment. Something sharp and old. A father. A mother. Words that had once meant warmth, then had turned into emptiness, then into something she could not touch without being cut. The governess tried to steer the boys back toward the carriage, offering a compromise. "You may throw snowballs at the tree, not at the footman, and certainly not at—" Lucas slipped his hand free and bolted down the slope. "Lucas!" the governess shrieked. Felix followed, laughing as if it were a game. "Stop!" Karl commanded, and he moved after them, but the slope was slick and he was careful in a way children were not. His boots slid once and he caught himself, losing precious seconds. Anna's heart thudded. She did not know those boys. She had never spoken to a prince. She had no right to anything that happened among them. And yet her feet moved. She went down the slope too, not running, not sliding, but quick, quick, quick. She kept her balance the way you learned to keep balance when the streets did not forgive clumsiness. The twins reached the river's edge and stared down at the ice, delighted. "See?" Lucas called up. "It holds." He put one foot on the ice. The governess screamed again, and this time the sound was not merely fear, it was terror. "No," Anna shouted before she meant to. Her voice sliced the air, rough and low, nothing like the refined cries of the ladies above. The boys looked up, startled by a stranger addressing them. That split second of distraction might have saved them. Felix stepped closer to his brother. "Who is she?" "A lady," Lucas guessed, because children liked simple answers. "I am not," Anna began, and then the ice made a sound that did not belong in winter. A crack, sharp, like a bone snapping. The boys froze. Their eyes widened. Felix's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Prince Karl lunged down the last part of the slope, reaching for them. "Back," he ordered, voice low and fierce. "Back now." The ice cracked again, spreading in a pale, branching line beneath Lucas's foot. "Father," Lucas whispered, and fear finally reached his voice. Felix grabbed his brother's sleeve and tried to pull him back, but the movement shifted their weight. The river did not care about titles. It did not care about prayers. It did not care about how many people watched. The ice gave way. Anna saw it happen in a blur of white and dark. One moment 2 small figures stood on the edge. The next they dropped as if the earth had opened beneath them. The sound that came from the crowd was not a scream. It was a collective inhale, as if everyone's lungs stopped at once. Karl reached the edge, but the gap was just far enough, and the broken ice was jagged around the opening. He knelt, stretching his arm out. "Felix!" he shouted. "Lucas!" Small hands clawed at the ice. The boys' faces were pale with shock, their mouths moving, calling, but the words tangled in fear. "Hold on," Karl said, voice strained. "Hold on, I have you." He reached further, and his glove brushed a sleeve, but the ice shifted, and he pulled back instinctively, eyes darting as he assessed the danger. One wrong move and he would go in too. The governess was sobbing above, incoherent. A lady fainted into a servant's arms. Gentlemen hovered, useless, muttering. Someone, Carl snapped, looking over his shoulder. A rope, a branch, anything. Servants ran, but their boots slid, and their hands fumbled with panic. Guards started down the slope, careful, careful, too careful. Anna did not think. Thinking took time. Thinking asked permission. Her body moved before her fear could argue. She dropped her shawl and stepped onto the ice. "Stop!" someone cried. "Woman, stop!" Anna ignored it. She went down on her knees and spread her weight, as she had once seen fishermen do when the ice betrayed them. The cold bit through her skirt at once, cruel and immediate, but she pushed forward. "Miss!" Carl barked, startled, furious. "Get back!" She did not look at him. If she looked at him, she might remember who he was. If she remembered, she might freeze like the others. "Felix!" she called, and her voice softened, because children responded to softness better than to commands. "Look at me." Felix's eyes locked onto hers. They were wide and glassy with fear. "Do what I say," Anna told him, "not what you feel. Understand?" He nodded jerkily. "Good," she said. "You are brave. Both of you. Now listen. Put your arms on the ice, like this." She demonstrated, pressing her forearms onto the ice in front of her, spreading her weight. Felix tried to copy her, his small arms shaking. Lucas whimpered. "It's cold." "I know," Anna said, and she hated how gentle her voice sounded, as if she were soothing her own lost child. "It is very cold, but you must not thrash. The ice will break more. Can you stay still for me?" Lucas swallowed and nodded, teeth chattering. Anna edged closer to the opening. The ice creaked beneath her, a warning that made her stomach lurch, but she kept her movements slow and deliberate. Carl hovered at the edge, breath coming hard. "Miss, you will fall in." Anna glanced up at him for the first time. His face was rigid, eyes bright with something that was not just fear for his sons, something like disbelief that a stranger had moved when his own people had hesitated. "Then do not let go of me if I do," she said, and her voice was steady enough to surprise even her. "What is your name?" he demanded, as if a name could anchor her. "Anna," she answered, and then she reached for Felix. "Give me your hand," she told him. Felix lifted his hand, small fingers stiff and numb. Anna grabbed his wrist, not his fingers, and pulled him toward her, inch by inch, careful not to yank. The ice groaned again. "Slow," she murmured. "Slow. That is it. You are doing well." Felix made a small sound that might have been a sob. "Father, I am here," Carl said instantly. "I am here, Felix. Look at me." Felix glanced toward his father, and in that moment his grip slipped. Anna's heart jumped into her throat. "No," she said, sharp now. "Stay with me, stay with me." Felix's eyes snapped back to her. "Good," she said again, softer. "Now push with your feet, like climbing out of a bath. Can you do that?" Felix nodded, jaw trembling. Anna pulled, and Felix pushed, and suddenly he was on the ice, half out, chest pressed against the surface, gasping. "Take him," Anna told Carl without looking up. "Take him now." Carl reached and grasped Felix under the arms, dragging him back toward the bank with a strength that came from terror and love. Felix clung to him, coughing, crying. "One," Anna whispered. "One." Then she turned back to Lucas. Lucas's eyes were locked on her, wild. "I can't," he whispered. "Yes, you can," Anna said. "You will. Look at me. Not at the water. I'm scared." "I know," she replied. "So am I. But fear does not decide. We decide." She moved closer, pushing her weight forward, and the ice shifted again. A thin crack raced out from the hole toward her knee. Carl saw it. "Anna!" he shouted, and for the first time, he used her name like a plea. She did not answer. She reached into the opening and grabbed Lucas under the arm, her fingers numb, her sleeve soaking instantly. The cold was a living thing, climbing up her arm, biting. Lucas cried out. "It hurts." "I know," Anna said, voice tight. "It hurts, but it will pass." "Push, Lucas, push now." He tried, but his legs kicked beneath the water. "Not like that," she warned. "Slow, slow, find the ice with your knees." Lucas's chin trembled. "I can't find it." "You can," she insisted. "Here, here." She guided him, pressing his knee against the edge so he could feel it. His small body shook violently. "Hold on to me," she said. "Do not let go." "I won't," Lucas promised, voice breaking. Anna pulled, and Lucas pushed, and the ice groaned louder than before, and Anna's stomach turned with fear. The crack near her knee widened. Someone behind Carl shouted, "A rope! We have a rope! Bring it!" Carl roared, but his attention never left the scene in front of him. His eyes were fixed on Anna's hands, on Lucas's face, on the ice that threatened to fail them both. Anna's strength wavered, not because she was weak, but because cold stole strength like a thief. Her arms felt heavy, slow. Her lungs burned. "Come on," she whispered, teeth clenched. "Come on, little one." Lucas sobbed. "I'm slipping." "You are not," Anna said firmly, though she felt his body slide. "Not while I am holding you." And then, with a final, desperate push, Lucas's chest came up onto the ice. He lay there panting, face pressed to the surface, eyes squeezed shut as if he expected to fall again. Anna grabbed the back of his coat and dragged him toward the bank. "Now!" she called, voice raw. "Now!" Carl lunged forward and seized Lucas, pulling him into his arms as if he would fuse the boy to his own body. Lucas clung to his father, shaking so hard his teeth clicked. The crowd erupted into sound then, voices tumbling over each other. She saved them. Saint in rags. Is she mad? Get her away from the ice. Anna tried to stand, but her legs did not answer. Cold soaked through her. Her clothes clung to her skin, heavy as guilt. Her vision narrowed. She heard Carl's voice again, urgent. "Anna, come back, the rope." A servant slid on the slope and dropped the rope, swearing softly under his breath before catching himself and glancing around, mortified. "Careful," another servant hissed. Anna put a hand on the ice to push herself back, and the ice responded with a sharp crack that made her flinch. Too late, her mind whispered. Too late to be careful. Her hand slipped. Her weight shifted. She felt herself tilt. Carl's eyes widened. "Anna!" She went in. The cold swallowed her in an instant, not like water, not like anything she had ever known. It stole her breath. It stole her voice. It stole thought. For a heartbeat, all she could do was flail, not because she wanted to, but because the body rebelled against the shock. Then she forced herself to be still. Still. Like she had told the boys. Hands reached for her. The rope dropped again, splashing the edge of the hole. "Hold on!" someone yelled. Hannah's fingers scrabbled at the ice, numb and clumsy. The edge cut into her palms through her thin gloves. Her teeth clenched, but she made no sound. Sound would cost breath, and breath was precious now. She found the rope. She wrapped it around her wrist once, twice, because she knew fingers could not be trusted. "Pull," Carl commanded, and the word cracked like authority finally doing something useful. The rope tightened, biting into her skin. She was dragged forward over the edge onto the ice. Rough hands grabbed her under the arms, hauling her onto the bank. Anna lay on her side, coughing, lungs burning as air returned in painful gulps. She tried to curl in on herself to preserve warmth, but her body shook violently beyond control. Someone threw a cloak over her. Another cloak followed. The weight of them was heavy, unfamiliar. "Move back!" Carl snapped at the crowd, and for the first time the nobles obeyed without argument. His voice held a kind of fury that turned etiquette into ash. The governess hovered near the twins, still crying, still pressing her hands over their heads, as if she could smooth away what happened. "Your Highness, the boys must be taken inside. They must be warmed." "Oh, sweet heavens, sweet—" "They are alive," Carl said, and the words sounded like he was reminding himself too. He looked down at Felix and Lucas, wrapped in blankets, faces pale but breathing. Both boys stared past the servants, eyes fixed on the figure on the ground. "Is she dead?" Felix whispered, voice small. Anna heard him. The question struck her like an insult. She forced her eyes open, though her lashes were crusted with frozen water. "Not dead," she managed, and her voice came out thin, rough. Felix's face crumpled with relief. "She spoke." Lucas wriggled out of the governess's grip and took 2 unsteady steps toward Anna, before a servant caught him gently. "Do not," the servant murmured. "You are cold, young master." "I want to say thank you," Lucas insisted, as if thanks could keep her alive. Carl's gaze stayed on Anna. He knelt beside her, ignoring the wet that would ruin his fine coat. His gloved hand hovered near her shoulder, uncertain where he was allowed to touch. "Anna," he said quietly, and now his voice was not command. It was something else, something shaken. "Can you hear me?" "Yes," she rasped. "Why did you do it?" he asked, as if the question was tearing at him. "You could have died." Anna tried to laugh. It became a cough. "Because they were drowning," she said, and then, because truth was sometimes sharper than politeness, she added, "And everyone stood still." Carl flinched as if struck. His jaw tightened. He looked past her at the crowd, at the nobles who had watched, at the servants who had hesitated, at the guards who had approached too carefully. "She is freezing," Dr. Emmerich said, pushing through the cluster. "Make room, Your Highness. She must be brought somewhere warm immediately." A lady pressed a hand to her mouth. "But the palace—" "She cannot be left here," the physician replied, firm. "And she must not be carried through the public streets in this state." Anna tried to sit up. The movement made the world tilt. "No," she whispered. "No palace." Carl's eyes flicked to her face. "Why not?" "Because," she said, and her throat closed around the rest. Because she had been there once. Because she had been turned out. Because she had learned what marble halls did to people who did not belong. Her teeth chattered too hard for more words. The twins watched, unblinking. Felix tugged at his father's sleeve. "Father, she saved us." "I know," Carl said, and his voice broke on the last word. Just slightly. Just enough to make the men beside him look away. Lucas whispered, "Will she be cold forever?" "No," Carl said too quickly. "No." He stood, suddenly decisive. "Bring a carriage closer." A servant hesitated. "Your Highness, the path—" "Closer," Carl repeated, and the servant ran. Anna's eyelids drooped. The sound of voices faded in and out like a distant bell. Someone lifted her. She wanted to fight it, but her limbs did not cooperate. The cloak around her slipped, and cold air struck her throat. She shivered violently. "Careful with her," Dr. Emmerich warned. "Her breathing is shallow." Carl walked beside those carrying her, his face set like stone. But his eyes betrayed him. He looked at Anna as if she were a question he could not ignore. "What is her condition?" the lady near him asked softly, voice trembling with delayed shock. "She will live if we are swift," the doctor answered. "If we are foolish, she will not." The words landed like a verdict. Anna's head lolled to the side. Her cheek brushed against someone's sleeve, fine cloth, expensive. She smelled soap and clean wool. It did not comfort her. It frightened her. The carriage door opened. Warmth spilled out like a promise. Anna was placed inside on the bench, surrounded by cloaks and hands that did not know how to touch her without looking guilty. Felix and Lucas were hurried into another carriage, still wrapped, still staring back at her with wide eyes. "Wait!" Felix cried, voice cracking. "I want her in ours." "Quiet, Felix," the governess pleaded. "How your father will manage it." Carl paused at the carriage step where Anna lay. He looked down at her, then at his hands, as if wondering what kind of man he was supposed to be in this moment. Anna's lips moved, but her words were lost. Carl leaned closer. "Speak," he said, and it sounded almost like an apology. "If you need something, tell me." Anna forced her eyes open again. Her gaze slid over his face, his fine coat, his clean gloves. A prince asking what a beggar needed. "A dry blanket," she whispered, and the simplicity of it nearly made her laugh again. "And to be left alone." Carl's mouth tightened. "I cannot leave you alone." "Why?" she breathed. He had no easy answer. He looked away for a moment, toward the river, toward the hole in the ice that still gaped darkly, as if reminding him how close he had come to losing his sons. When he looked back, his eyes were darker. "Because you did what my world failed to do," he said. "And because I must know who you are." Anna tried to turn her face away, but her body was too heavy. The carriage jolted slightly as the driver adjusted the reins. A servant climbed in to settle the cloaks around her, and as he did, something at Anna's throat slipped free from beneath the wet fabric. A silver locket, not fine enough to impress the richest eyes, but too fine to belong to the streets. The servant's hand froze. His gaze locked on it with sudden recognition, and color drained from his face. He leaned toward another attendant and whispered, low enough to be hidden under the carriage's creak, but not low enough to escape Carl's sharp attention. "That locket, the servant murmured, voice unsteady. I have seen such a thing before. Carl's head snapped toward him. Where? The servant swallowed. His eyes flicked to Anna's face, then away, as if afraid to look too long. At court, he breathed. Years ago. Carl's gaze dropped to the locket again, then lifted to Anna. She lay still, eyelids fluttering, lips parted slightly as if caught between waking and fading. The prince's chest rose once, controlled, then again, as if he were forcing air into a body that had forgotten how to breathe. Bring her to the palace. Anna woke to a silence that felt too expensive. No street noises, no carts, no shouting, no scuffling feet. Only a faint crackle somewhere, like a fire eating quietly. Her eyes opened, and for a moment she did not understand what she was seeing. A ceiling, clean, smooth, no water stains, no leaning beams, no soot. She tried to sit up, and pain shot through her shoulders, cold remembered as a bruise. No, she croaked, and the word barely left her throat. A woman turned from the hearth. Not a lady, a maid. Plain dress, hair pinned tight, eyes wary. You should not move, the maid said. Anna pulled the blanket higher, instinctively. The fabric was thick and soft. It felt wrong against her skin, like wearing another person's life. Where am I? Anna asked. The maid hesitated, as if weighing whether truth would cause trouble. In the palace, miss. I am not a miss. The maid's lips pressed together. That is what they told me to call you. They, Anna repeated, and her mouth went dry. Who brought me here? The prince, the maid said, almost grudgingly. His Highness ordered it. Anna's heart stumbled. No, he did, the maid insisted, then added quickly, You saved the little princes. People are saying it already. It will spread through the servants' corridors faster than through the city. Anna swung her legs toward the edge of the bed. The room tilted. The blanket slipped, and she caught a glimpse of herself in a mirror across the chamber. Her hair loose, washed, her face pale. Someone had scrubbed the river out of her skin. Give me my clothes, she said. The maid moved closer. You cannot go out like this. Like what? Like me? Anna snapped, and then regretted it when the maid's eyes hardened. Like a woman who can barely stand, the maid replied. Anna held the bedpost for balance. I can stand. The maid watched her sway. You are standing, yes. That is different from walking. Anna swallowed, fighting the strange prick of humiliation. In the streets, weakness was dangerous. In the palace, weakness was a reason for people to do things to you while smiling. She took a breath. Where are the children? In their rooms, the maid said, softer now. Warmed, fed. Their governess is half mad with fear, but the boys are alive. Because of you. Anna's chest tightened. Alive. Good. That was the only part that mattered. Then I'm finished here, Anna said, forcing steadiness into her voice. I should go. The maid glanced toward the door as if afraid someone might hear. They will not allow you to leave without speaking to him. Allow, Anna repeated, bitter. Do you hear yourself? The maid's cheeks flushed. It is not me, it is the palace. Anna stared at the door. She could almost feel the palace watching, even from behind walls. Tell the prince I want no reward, Anna said. Tell him I only did what anyone should. The maid let out a small, humorless sound. Anyone should. Yes, that is what people say when they do not mean it. Footsteps approached outside. Anna's muscles tensed. The door opened. A man entered with the quiet authority of someone used to being obeyed. Dr. Emmerich. She recognized him from the riverbank. His hair was neatly combed, his face composed, but his eyes were quick, observant. He bowed his head slightly, not to flatter her, but to acknowledge her as a patient. You are awake, he said. I am, Anna replied. Good. He stepped closer, holding his hands out, palms up, as if showing he carried no threat. May I? Anna hesitated, then allowed him to take her wrist. His fingers were warm. He checked her pulse with the calm of a man who had seen panic and refused to let it spread. You have been fortunate, he said. Fortune had nothing to do with it, Anna muttered. He almost smiled. Stubbornness, then. Your lungs were angry. Your body was cold to the bone. We had to keep you near heat for hours. You tried to wake twice and failed. Anna's throat tightened. How long have I been here? Half a day, the the doctor answered. Not long enough for you to heal, but long enough for the household to begin speaking. I do not want them speaking, she said. That is reasonable, Dr. Emmerich replied, and she disliked him a little for saying it as if reason mattered in palaces. But you are in a place where reason is often decorated. Anna stared at him. Will you let me leave? He watched her face for a long moment. If you walk out now, you will collapse in the corridor. Then you will wake in an even more public place. That is not safety. I have never had safety, Anna said, and the words tasted like iron. Dr. Emmerich did not pity her. That was something. He simply nodded, as if adding a note to a list. Then let us aim for less danger, he said. Stay until you can stand without shaking. Drink broth. Sleep. After that you may decide. Anna opened her mouth to argue, but another sound rose outside the door. Voices. 2 women, one older, one younger, both controlled, both carrying that clipped tone of importance. The maid's face tightened. Oh no. Dr. Emmerich glanced toward the door. Who is it? The Dowager, the maid whispered, as if the title itself might strike them. And Lady Margareta. Anna's stomach dropped. She tried to step back, as if she could retreat into the bed and vanish. Too late. The door opened again, wider this time. An older noblewoman entered, tall, shoulders straight, eyes sharp. Her hair was silver beneath a cap that looked like it had never known disorder. Behind her came a lady with a softer face and nervous hands. The dowager's gaze swept the room, took in the fire, the clean sheets, the maid, the doctor, and finally, Anna. For a moment the dowager said nothing. Silence was her weapon, and she used it without apology. Then she spoke, and her voice was cool enough to chill the hearth. So, she said, this is the woman. Anna forced herself to stand straighter, though her legs trembled. She would not bow, she would not beg. Dr. Emmerich stepped forward slightly. Your Grace, she is still recovering. She should not be upset. The dowager's eyes flicked to him. Doctor, I did not ask for advice. I asked for a fact. Lady Margareta shifted behind her. Mother, please. The dowager did not turn. A woman from the street has been placed in a palace chamber, she continued, addressing the heir as much as Anna. The servants are whispering. The guards are staring. The kitchens are preparing broth as if it were a holiday, and all because she saved my grandsons, a child's voice burst in, bright and defiant. Anna's breath caught. Felix and Lucas appeared in the doorway like small storms, wrapped in coats too large for them, cheeks still pale. The governess was just behind, reaching for them with helpless hands. Boys, the governess pleaded, you must not. We must, Lucas insisted, pushing forward. Felix looked straight at the dowager, unafraid. Grandmama, she saved us. The dowager's expression did not change, but her eyes sharpened. You were instructed to remain in your rooms. Felix lifted his chin. We were also instructed not to go on the ice. The governess gasped, as if he had slapped the dowager. Anna felt a strange heat rise in her chest. Not anger, not pride. Something like alarm mixed with tenderness. Children did not understand consequences. They ran toward them the way they had run toward the river. Lucas held something in both hands, as if it were precious. For you, he said, stepping past the governess and offering it to Anna. It was a small roll, warm, wrapped in a cloth napkin, and beside it, a handkerchief, neatly folded, with careful stitches along the edge. Someone had worked on it. Someone had taken time. Anna stared, frozen. Felix pushed the handkerchief forward too. It's clean. You can have it. You were wet. Anna's throat closed. She did not trust herself to speak. She took the offered things carefully, as if accepting a gift might break it. Thank you, she managed. Lucas nodded, satisfied, then glanced at the blankets. Are you still cold? Yes, Anna admitted, and the honesty made Felix frown, as if the world had failed a simple test. We told cook to make more broth, Felix announced. The good kind, with noodles. The dowager's gaze moved from the boys to Anna, and the air tightened. You see what you have done, the dowager said to Anna, each word measured. You have confused them. They believe you belong here. Anna's fingers clenched around the handkerchief. I do not. Then you agree, the dowager said, as if seizing victory. We shall end this quickly. Doctor, ensure she is fed, given a small purse, and escorted out by the back entrance. Before nightfall, Lady Margareta flinched. "Mother, the boys will forget," the dowager continued, dismissing her daughter with a glance. "Children forget. They forget even when we wish they would remember." Felix's face reddened. "We will not forget." "Do not raise your voice," the dowager said, still calm. Lucas grabbed Anna's sleeve, gentle but insistent. "You can stay." Anna's chest tightened at the feel of his small hand. She wanted to pull away to protect him from himself. She wanted to hold on because it had been so long since anyone had touched her without taking. She looked at Dr. Emmerich, searching his face for the quickest path out of this room without causing harm to the boys. The doctor's expression was careful. Then another presence filled the doorway. The room seemed to shift like everyone straightened without noticing. Prince Karl entered. He did not speak at first. His eyes went to the twins, then to the governess, then to Anna. When his gaze landed on her, it held still, as if anchoring. "Mother," he said at last. The dowager did not bow. She did not need to. "Karl." "You have frightened her," Lady Margareta blurted, immediately regretful. "I have spoken to the doctor," Karl said, ignoring the comment. "Anna is to remain here until she is well enough to walk without assistance." The dowager's eyebrows rose slightly. "You give orders, as if this were a barracks." Karl's jaw tightened. "It is my household." "It is our household," the dowager corrected. Karl stepped farther into the room, stopping near the bed. He did not touch Anna, but he stood close enough that she could feel the heat of him, not warmth, authority. The weight of a man used to being obeyed. "You should be in your rooms," he said to the twins, voice softer now. Felix bristled. "We wanted to see her." "And to give her food," Lucas added, as if that settled everything. Karl's eyes flicked to the roll and the handkerchief in Anna's hands. Something in his expression eased, not into a smile, but into a quiet exhale. "You are kind," he told them, "but you must listen to your governess. She nearly lost you today." Felix's gaze dropped, guilt finally touching him. "I'm sorry," he muttered. Then, as if remembering the reason they were here, he added stubbornly, "But she is still brave." Karl nodded once. "Yes," the dowager's voice cut in. "Bravery does not grant access to palace corridors." Karl turned to face her fully. "She is not roaming palace corridors. She is recovering." "And tomorrow?" the dowager asked. "And the day after? What will people say when they learn you have installed a beggar in a guest chamber?" Anna's cheeks burned. Beggar. The word was accurate, but it still struck. Karl did not look at Anna when he answered. Perhaps he was giving her that mercy. "Let them say what they like," he replied. "My sons are alive. She nearly died. I will not throw her out like refuse because the household is uncomfortable." The dowager's eyes narrowed. "Your emotions will govern you then." Karl's voice remained controlled. "My conscience will." "Conscience," the dowager repeated, as if tasting it and finding it too sweet. "This is Vienna, Karl. Conscience is not a currency. Reputation is." Felix stepped forward. "Grandmama, if you send her away, you are unkind." The governess made a strangled noise. "Felix!" The dowager's gaze fell on Felix, and for the first time, a hint of something else moved behind her eyes. Not softness, something like restraint, as if she could have crushed him with a sentence but chose not to. "Go to your rooms," she told the twins. "Now," Lucas clung to Anna's sleeve again. "Can we come back?" Karl answered before Anna could. "Not today. Anna needs rest." Felix's eyes went to Anna. "Do you want us to come back?" Anna's throat tightened. She looked at the dowager, at the doctor, at the maid, at Karl. Everyone waiting for her answer like it mattered. She chose the safest truth. "I want you safe," she said quietly. "That is what I want." Lucas blinked hard. Felix nodded solemnly, as if she had given them a sacred instruction. The governess ushered them out with shaky gratitude. "Come, my loves. Come. Your father is right. We must not trouble her." Felix looked over his shoulder as he left. "Don't disappear," he called, the words too honest to be polite. Anna's fingers tightened around the handkerchief. She did not answer. If she promised anything, it might become a lie. When the boys were gone, the room felt colder, though the fire still burned. The dowager looked at Karl. "You are letting sentiment make a spectacle." Karl held her gaze. "I am preventing cruelty." "Cruelty," the dowager repeated, and the word sharpened. You think I am cruel because I do not want a stranger in our midst? Anna's stomach twisted. Stranger, that one stung more than beggar. Carl's voice lowered. Mother, she was not a stranger to the river. She knew what to do. She moved when others did not. The dowager's eyes flicked to Anna at last, a direct look that felt like being weighed. What is your name? She asked. Anna forced her voice steady. Anna Weiss. The dowager's expression did not change. Weiss, she repeated. White. A common name, conveniently forgettable. Lady Margareta inhaled sharply. Mother! Anna's hands trembled and she hated it. She had faced cold, hunger and indifference without shaking like this. Yet one woman's disdain made her feel 13 again, standing in a corridor where she had no right to stand. Carl's voice snapped. Enough. The dowager's head tilted slightly. So you will keep her. What will you do with her, Carl? Parade her as proof of your tenderness. Carl's gaze hardened. I will ensure she heals. Then I will ask her what she wants. Anna's throat tightened. What she wanted was to vanish. The dowager's lips pressed together. Very well. Keep her today. But I warn you, the longer she remains, the more questions she will invite. Carl replied. Let them come. The dowager's eyes narrowed with a quiet certainty. They will. She turned on her heel, Lady Margareta following with a helpless glance back at Anna, as if wanting to apologize but lacking the courage to disobey. When the door closed behind them, the maid exhaled as if she had been holding her breath for an hour. Dr. Emmerich rubbed his temple once, then straightened. You should not have risen, he told Anna, brisk again. Back to bed. Now. Anna tried to obey, but her knees wobbled. Carl stepped forward and caught her elbow with gentle steadiness. The contact startled her. His glove was warm. I can manage, Anna muttered, trying to pull away. You cannot, Carl said, not unkindly. Not yet. He guided her back to the bed, then released her immediately, as if aware of how easily touch could become a form of control. Anna sat breathing hard, the handkerchief still clenched in her fist. Carl looked at it. They gave you that? Yes, she replied. He nodded, gaze flicking toward the door where the twins had vanished. They are sincere. They will speak of you again and again. I do not want that, Anna said quickly. I know, Carl answered, but it may happen whether you want it or not. Dr. Emmerich cleared his throat. Your Highness, she needs rest, and warmth, and silence. Carl's eyes stayed on Anna. You have it. Silence, I mean. As much as I can provide. Anna let out a bitter breath. Silence does not exist in palaces. A flicker crossed his face. Not offense. Recognition. You are right, he said. But you will not be harmed here. Anna's gaze lifted. You cannot promise that. Carl held her eyes. I can promise what I will do. She did not reply. Promises were cheap, even princely ones. Dr. Emmerich stepped between them gently, as if guiding a conversation away from a precipice. I will return with broth, he said to the maid, and I will need the laundry woman. Her garments were not suitable to keep. We must find something simple, nothing that draws attention. The maid nodded quickly and slipped out. Carl remained by the bed for a moment longer than necessary. Anna's voice came out thinner than she intended. Why are you doing this? Carl's jaw tightened. Because my sons are alive. That is gratitude, she said. Not sense. Carl's gaze did not move. Perhaps I lack sense today. Anna looked away, blinking hard. If you keep me here, you will regret it. Carl's voice dropped. Will I regret it because you are dangerous, or because others will decide you are? Anna said nothing. The question was too close to truth she did not want touched. Carl exhaled once, controlled. Rest, he told her, and it sounded like an order, but softer. He turned to leave. Dr. Emmerich followed him toward the door, speaking quietly. Your Highness, the doctor murmured. Questions can wait. Her mind is not steady yet. Carl's answer was low. I am not questioning her to satisfy curiosity. Dr. Emmerich paused. Then why? Carl did not respond at once. Anna watched his back, straight and tense, a man trying to carry something heavier than a title. When he left, the quiet returned, and Anna hated it again. Quiet in the palace was not peace. Quiet was the moment before someone decided what to do with you. The maid returned with broth and a spoon, and this time she looked at Anna with a strange mixture of suspicion and awe. "Drink," the maid said. "It will help." Anna took the spoon. Her hand shook. She forced it steady. As she ate, she listened. She listened the way she had learned to listen on the streets, where footsteps and voices told you whether to stay or flee. Behind walls, in corridors, servants whispered, "She saved the little princes. Did you see her? She looked like a drowned cat. Hush, the prince is furious. They say the dowager wanted her out. They say the prince refused." Anna closed her eyes briefly. Every word was a thread, and threads could become nets. When she finished, the maid took the bowl and hesitated. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Anna asked. The maid swallowed. Because you are in a room where many women would give their lives to be." Anna's mouth tightened. "And many women have lost their lives in rooms like this." The maid stared as if she had never considered it. Then she hurried away without answering. Hours passed in fragments. Anna dozed and woke, dozed and woke. Each time she woke, she expected to find herself back under a bridge, convinced the palace had been a fever dream. But the clean ceiling remained. Late afternoon, Dr. Emmerich returned to check her breathing. He seemed satisfied, though his eyes stayed alert. "You will sleep tonight," he said. "Do not argue." Anna did not have the strength to argue. The maid brought a plain dress, brown and simple, not fine but clean. Anna stared at it. "For tomorrow," the maid said quickly. "In case you must walk. In case they throw me out," Anna replied. The maid's lips pressed together. "In case you wish to leave with dignity." Anna did not thank her, but she did not refuse. When the maid left, Anna lay back and stared at the fire. Her mind drifted toward the locket at her throat. It felt heavier now, as if the palace air had changed its weight. She lifted it with stiff fingers and let it rest in her palm. "So you have been seen," she thought, again. A knock sounded, not the maid, not the doctor. A different kind of knock, brisk, confident. Anna's spine stiffened. The door opened just enough for a footman to slip in. He did not approach the bed. He kept his distance, eyes down. "Miss Weiss," he said. "I am here," Anna replied, voice cautious. The footman cleared his throat. "A message for His Highness." Anna frowned. "Why are you bringing it to me?" "Because His Highness is currently in conference," the footman said, uncomfortable, "and the lady who sent it requested it be delivered without delay." Anna stared. "What lady?" The footman hesitated, then answered as if reciting something dangerous. "Countess Sabine." Anna's fingers tightened on the blanket. She had not heard the name since arriving, but the way the footman spoke it told her enough. "Read it to him," Anna said. "I cannot," the footman replied quickly. "It is sealed. I am to place it in his hand." He set the note on a small table and backed out, as if the paper itself might burn him. When the door closed, Anna stared at the sealed note from the bed, heart beating too fast for a woman meant to be resting. She told herself it was nothing. It was court business. It had nothing to do with her. But the note was in her room. That meant it did. Footsteps returned not long after. Firmer, familiar. Karl entered, coat removed now, but the tension still in his shoulders. His eyes went to Anna first, checking without asking if she still breathed. Then his gaze caught on the note. He walked to the table and picked it up. The seal gleamed red in the firelight. Anna watched his face as he broke it open. She watched the way his eyes moved across the words, the way his mouth tightened. "What is it?" Anna asked before she could stop herself. Karl did not answer immediately. He read it once more slowly, as if confirming what he had already understood. Then he looked at Anna. His expression was controlled, but something had shifted behind it, a faint tightening at the corners of his eyes. "It is an invitation," he said at last. "To what?" Anna's voice came out thin. Karl folded the note carefully, too carefully. "To a private sitting room," he replied. Anna swallowed. "From who?" Karl's gaze held hers a moment, as if he did not want to speak the name in this room. Then he did. "Countess Sabine," he said. Anna felt the air change. She did not know the Countess, but she knew the type. Women who could ruin you with a smile and call it etiquette. Karl looked back down at the paper and read the final line aloud, voice low and precise. each word landing like a door closing. "Your Highness, before you decide what she is, allow me to tell you who she used to be." Carl did not leave at once. He stood by the table with the note in his hand, as if the paper weighed more than it should. The fire crackled. The room smelled faintly of broth and soap. Anna lay still, watching him as if watching a door that might open onto danger. "I am to meet her tonight," Carl said. Anna's voice came out flat. "You will go, yes, because she summoned you." Carl's jaw tightened. "Because she believes she has information." Anna stared at him. "Information is not always truth." "I know," Carl replied, and his gaze flicked to her throat, but she chose her words carefully. Anna's fingers moved under the blanket toward the locket without thinking, as if to hide it, as if hiding it now could rewrite what had already been seen. Carl noticed. He did not mention it. "You're not well enough for worry," he said. Anna let out a short laugh that turned into a cough. "Then I will simply be unwell and ignorant. How restful." Carl's expression softened by the smallest degree. "I did not mean to command you." "You do," Anna said, "even when you speak gently." He accepted that without argument. "I will return." Anna's chest tightened. "Why tell me at all?" Carl held her gaze. "Because you are the subject of the sentence she wrote." Anna's mouth went dry. Carl folded the note and placed it into his coat pocket. "Rest," he said again, as if the word could do what he wanted. Then he turned and left. The maid returned not long after, carrying linens. She stopped short when she saw Anna awake. "You should be sleeping," she said, nervous. Anna sat up slowly, testing her balance, better than earlier, but not steady. "Who is Countess Sabine?" Anna asked. The maid's hands tightened on the linens. "You should not speak of her. That is not an answer." The maid hesitated, then lowered her voice. "She is close to the dowager. She attends everything. She notices everything. And when she smiles at someone, it usually means someone else will cry." Anna swallowed. "Does she know me?" The maid looked down at the linens as if they were suddenly fascinating. "I do not know." Anna leaned forward. "Ask someone who has been here longer." The maid's eyes flicked up, startled. "Why?" Anna's voice turned quiet. "Because I want to leave before she decides I should not." The maid's cheeks paled. "Leave? His Highness ordered—" "I heard his order," Anna cut in. "I also heard your dowager. And I have ears. This house is already speaking." The maid opened her mouth, then shut it, because she knew Anna was right. Anna pushed herself to stand. The room swayed slightly, but she steadied herself against the bedpost. The maid stepped forward. "You will fall." "Not yet," Anna said. "Bring me my old shawl, the one I came in with." The maid's expression twisted. "It was ruined." "Then a plain wrap," Anna said. "Anything." The maid's eyes filled with conflicted caution. "If you try to run, they will stop you." Anna's gaze sharpened. "Stop me?" The maid swallowed. "The guards. They were told to watch the doors for disturbances, for beggars," Anna said. The maid did not deny it. Anna sat back down abruptly, a bitter taste rising in her throat. She glanced at the door. The palace was not a shelter. It was a cage made of politeness. A knock came. The maid nearly jumped. Dr. Emmerich entered, face composed, hands clean, eyes alert. He looked at Anna and at the maid, and in an instant he knew the room had changed. "What happened?" he asked. Anna answered first. "Countess Sabine sent for the prince." The doctor's mouth tightened. "Ah!" The maid stared at him. "You know her." "I know of her," Dr. Emmerich said carefully. He approached Anna and checked her pulse again, more out of habit than need. "How do you feel?" "Trapped," Anna replied. The doctor's gaze flicked to the maid. "Leave us a moment." The maid hesitated, then obeyed, shutting the door behind her. Dr. Emmerich lowered his voice. "You are wise to be uneasy." Anna stared at him. "Wise does not help me." "It might," he said, "if you tell me what you are afraid of." Anna shook her head. "No." He did not press her the way the dowager had. He waited. Anna's throat tightened. "People like her do not ask questions because they want answers. They ask because they want control." Dr. Emmerich nodded slowly. "Yes." Anna's fingers tightened on the blanket. "If she says she knows me, Will he believe her? The doctor's gaze steadied. He will listen. That is not the same as believing. Anna's voice sharpened. Listening is enough to ruin someone. Dr. Emmerich did not disagree. He only said, "You are stronger than you were this morning." "That is not comfort," Anna replied. "It is a tool," he said. "Strength is a tool." Anna held his gaze. "You speak like a man who has never been hungry." The doctor's expression did not flinch. "I speak like a man who has watched hunger become illness in 100 forms. And like a man who has watched powerful people pretend not to see it." Anna's breath caught, surprised by the bluntness. He leaned slightly closer, not invading, just making sure his next words were heard. "If you know something that could harm you, you must decide who to trust with it." Anna's mouth went dry. "I trust no one." Dr. Emmerich's voice turned firm. "That is not sustainable." Anna looked away. "It has sustained me. Until now," he replied, and the words landed harder than pity. "Now you are inside the palace, the rules change. You cannot be invisible here." Anna's fingers went to the locket again. The doctor noticed and lifted his chin toward it. "May I see it?" Anna's body stiffened. "No." He did not reach. "Then at least answer. Does it belong to you?" Anna hesitated. "It is mine to carry." "That is not an answer," he said gently. Anna's eyes flashed. "Then ask your Countess Sabine." "She seems eager to speak." Dr. Emmerich's jaw tightened. "She will. That is why I suggest you speak first. To someone who does not enjoy cruelty." Anna laughed softly, bitter again. "You think the prince does not enjoy it?" Dr. Emmerich's gaze sharpened. "I think he is trying not to." Anna swallowed. The door opened before either could say more. Karl entered, coat now formal, hair neat as if the meeting demanded precision. His eyes went to Dr. Emmerich. "Doctor," Karl said. "Your Highness," Dr. Emmerich replied. Karl's gaze shifted to Anna. "How is she?" Dr. Emmerich answered carefully. "Physically improved, in other ways unsettled." Karl's eyes narrowed slightly. "Why?" Anna's voice came out low. "Because your palace watches like a hawk." Karl's jaw tightened, but he did not deny it. "I will speak with Countess Sabine," he said. "Then I will speak with someone else." "Who?" Dr. Emmerich asked quietly. Karl replied, "Father Matthias." Anna's stomach lurched. "A priest?" Karl's gaze held hers. "Yes. He serves the district near where you were found. If anyone knows your name and your circumstances, it may be him." Anna's hands clenched. "Do not." Karl's expression hardened. "If you fear being spoken about, it is better I hear the truth from someone who does not gain from rumor." Anna's voice shook. "Truth is not safe." Karl stared at her. "Then neither is silence." Dr. Emmerich stepped in, voice calm. "Your Highness, if you go to this meeting tonight, go carefully. The Countess will aim to make this about appearances." Karl's mouth tightened. "Everything is about appearances here." "And yet," Dr. Emmerich said, "you are choosing something else. That is why she will push." Karl's eyes flicked to Anna again. "Rest," he told her. And then, because he seemed to catch himself, he added, "Please." Anna did not answer. Karl left. Dr. Emmerich lingered a moment. "You heard him," the doctor said. "He is going to Father Matthias." Anna stared at the fire. "He will dig until he finds something sharp, and then he will wonder why he is bleeding." Dr. Emmerich's voice softened. "If you run, you will bleed anyway." Anna turned to him. "So, what do you suggest, doctor? I become a patient forever? I eat broth and accept kind words while people decide where to place me." Dr. Emmerich held her gaze. "I suggest you survive the night." He left too, and the room became too quiet again. When the maid returned, her face was drawn. "He is gone?" Anna asked. The maid nodded. "To the Countess." Anna's heart pounded. "Then help me dress." The maid's eyes widened. "Now?" "Now," Anna insisted. "If he returns with her words in his mind, the palace will close around me." The maid hovered. "If they see you in the corridors, they will see me eventually," Anna snapped. Then she forced her voice softer. "Please." The maid swallowed, and after a moment she nodded as if surrendering. "Very well." Slowly, She helped Anna into the plain dress. Her hands were quick but careful, as if afraid Anna might shatter. Anna tied her hair back herself, fingers trembling. The maid brought a simple shawl. Anna wrapped it tight. "Where is the nearest exit that is not watched?" Anna asked. The maid's mouth tightened. "There is a servant's stairwell near the kitchens, but it is not unguarded." Anna's eyes narrowed. "Everything is guarded." "Yes," the maid whispered. Anna took a breath. "Then I will wait until dawn." The maid looked at her sharply. "Why dawn?" "Because the palace is sleepy then," Anna said. "Even hawks blink." The maid stared at her, then looked away. "I will bring you bread." Anna almost laughed. "That is the only kindness I know how to accept." Night dragged by in fragments. Anna lay on the bed fully dressed, pretending to sleep when footsteps passed, listening to murmurs beyond the door, to distant laughter, to the palace breathing around her. Once, the door opened, and the maid slipped in with a small bundle. "Bread," she whispered, "and a bit of cheese." Anna took it and ate slowly, as if eating might make her strong enough to walk through walls. "Has the prince returned?" Anna asked. "Not yet," the maid replied. Anna's stomach knotted tighter. At some point, the maid returned again, eyes wide. "He is back." Anna sat up sharply. "Alone?" The maid nodded. "He went straight to his study, but he looked displeased." Anna's voice went thin. "That means she spoke," the maid swallowed. "Yes." Anna lay back, forcing her breathing steady. If she panicked, she would make noise. Noise would bring people. "Do not tell anyone you helped me," Anna whispered. The maid's eyes filled with fear. "I do not want trouble." "You already have it," Anna said, not unkindly. "You stood in a room with me while the dowager stared. That is enough." The maid flinched, then nodded. "Before dawn," Anna whispered again. "Remember." The maid left. Anna stared at the ceiling until her eyes burned. In the darkness, the locket felt like a stone against her skin. She did not sleep. She only waited. When the palace quieted into that pale hour before morning, the maid returned, face tense. "Now," she breathed. Anna slid out of bed. Her legs trembled, but she stood. The maid cracked the door open. The corridor beyond was dim, lit by a few lamps, shadows long and still. "Stay close to the wall," the maid whispered. Anna nodded. They moved like ghosts, slow enough not to draw attention, quick enough not to hesitate. Anna's bare footsteps on the cold floor were silent under the thin slippers the maid had found. At a junction, the maid froze. Voices floated from somewhere ahead. "The woman is still here," a male voice murmured. "His Highness will decide," another replied. "His Highness always decides until the dowager—" The maid pulled Anna into an alcove, pressing her back against the wall. Anna's heart hammered so hard she feared it would echo. The voices passed, fading. The maid exhaled shakily. This way. They descended a narrow stairwell. The air smelled faintly of bread and ash as they neared the kitchens. Anna's stomach twisted with familiarity. Servants' passages were the only parts of palaces that resembled the world she knew, practical, quiet, made for people who carried rather than commanded. At the bottom of the stairs, the maid paused. "There," she whispered, pointing toward a door that led to a small courtyard. Anna's chest loosened. Outside. Cold air, yes, but honest cold. She took a step. A voice behind them said, "And where do you think you are going?" Anna froze. The maid's face drained of color. A guard stood at the end of the corridor, not looming, not threatening, simply present, blocking the path with calm certainty. Anna's mouth went dry. "I am leaving," she said. The guard's expression stayed neutral. "You cannot." Anna's voice sharpened. "I have feet." The guard glanced at the maid. "And you should return to your work." The maid stammered, She... Anna stepped forward, forcing herself not to sway. "I do not belong here." The guard's eyes softened slightly, as if he understood more than he was allowed to say. "It is not my decision." "Whose is it?" Anna demanded, though she already knew. The guard did not answer. He merely lifted a hand and gestured back toward the stairs. Anna's chest tightened with frustration. She turned because she had no choice without making a scene, and making a scene would trap her more surely than any guard. They climbed back up in silence. Halfway up, the maid whispered, voice shaking, I am sorry, Anna swallowed. So am I. They returned to the corridor near Anna's room, and that was when the twins appeared. Felix and Lucas stood at the far end of the hallway, hair rumpled, cheeks still pale from yesterday's fright, but eyes bright with purpose. Their governess was behind them, hands raised as if trying to herd birds. "Stop them!" the governess hissed at a footman. "Stop them, they are running again." "We are not running," Felix called, indignant, even as he moved too fast. Lucas spotted Anna first. His face lit up, then crumpled with worry. "You're leaving," he said. Not a question. Anna's heart clenched. "Go back," she whispered urgently. "Both of you." Felix marched closer. "We came early so we could see you." Anna's voice turned tight. "You should not be here." "We know," Lucas said, as if admitting it made it fine. "But we heard someone say you might go away." Anna glanced at the governess. The woman looked desperate. "My loves, please, your father said—" "Our father is not here," Felix replied, then turned back to Anna. "Are you going?" Anna opened her mouth. She had no good answer. If she lied, she would betray them. If she told the truth, she would scare them. Lucas stepped closer, careful this time, and took the edge of Anna's shawl between his fingers, as if anchoring her. "You cannot disappear," Lucas whispered, the same word Felix had used before. "You promised." "I did not promise," Anna said, voice cracking. Felix's eyes narrowed. "But you should." Anna's throat tightened painfully. "You do not understand." Lucas's chin trembled. "We understand you saved us." Anna took a breath, fighting the ache rising in her chest. "That does not mean I belong in your house." Felix lifted his chin. "Then make a house where you belong." The words were so simple they hurt. The governess rushed forward, wringing her hands. "Your Highnesses, you must not— Oh, Anna, I am sorry. I am so sorry for yesterday. I should have held them tighter. I should have—" Anna cut in gently, because the woman's guilt was too raw. "They are alive. That is what matters." The governess swallowed hard. "It matters because of you." Footsteps sounded behind them, firm and measured. Anna's body stiffened before she even turned. Carl stood in the corridor, fully dressed, hair smooth, eyes tired but sharp. He took in the scene. Anna in travel-ready clothes, the maid pale beside her, the twins clinging to her presence, the governess trembling. His gaze landed on Anna and stayed there. "You tried to leave," he said quietly. Anna lifted her chin. "Yes." Carl's jaw tightened. "Why?" Anna's voice came out low. "Because I know what Countess Sabine is." Carl's eyes narrowed. "You know her?" Anna shook her head. "Not personally, but I know the kind." Carl took a step closer. "What did she say?" Anna's fingers curled into her shawl. "You already heard it." Carl's voice sharpened slightly. "Tell me anyway." Felix looked between them. "Father, she is not doing anything wrong." Carl's gaze flicked to his son, and his voice softened. "Go to your rooms." Lucas clung tighter. "No." Carl's expression tightened with a father's worry. "Lucas." Lucas shook his head, stubborn and scared. "If she goes, we will cry." The governess looked as if she might cry too. Carl exhaled, then lowered himself slightly so he was closer to their height. "You are safe," he told them. "And she is safe." Felix's eyes narrowed. "Then why is she dressed like that?" Carl glanced at Anna again. His voice turned quiet. "Because she thinks she is not safe." Anna held his gaze. "Am I?" Carl did not answer instantly. That pause told her more than words. He straightened and looked at the maid. "You helped her." The maid's lips parted. "Your Highness, I—" Carl lifted a hand. "Go." The maid hesitated, eyes wide, then hurried away as if fleeing judgment. The governess began to usher the twins back. "Come, my loves, come. Your father will speak with her." Felix resisted, glaring at his father. "Be kind," he warned, as if kindness could be demanded like a toy. Carl's mouth tightened. "I am trying." When the twins were finally led away, they looked back over their shoulders, faces tight with worry. Lucas lifted a hand in a small wave, as if begging Anna to wave back. Anna forced herself to lift her own hand. Her fingers shook. Then it was only Carl and Anna in the corridor, the palace still half asleep around them. Carl spoke first. "You are not a prisoner." Anna's eyes flashed. "I met a guard who disagreed." Carl's jaw tightened. They were instructed to prevent disturbances. "And I am a disturbance," Anna said. Carl's voice turned firm. "You are a guest who saved my sons." "A guest who cannot leave," Anna replied. Carl's gaze held hers. "Not until you can walk steadily." Anna took a breath, forcing her voice calm. "I can walk. You can barely stand," Carl replied. Anna lifted her chin. "Then you will carry me to the gate and be rid of your inconvenience." Carl's expression hardened. "Is that what you think this is?" Anna's chest rose and fell too quickly. She wanted to stay sharp because sharp kept her safe, but the warmth of the twins' hands on her sleeve still lingered, and it made her weak in a way she hated. Carl stepped closer, careful, controlled. "Countess Sabine said you were here once," he said. Anna's stomach dropped. "She implied you were connected to the court," Carl continued. "She implied you were dismissed. She implied you might be dangerous." Anna's hands clenched. "And you believed her?" Carl's voice lowered. "I listened." Anna's laugh came out strained. "That is the same thing in a place like this." Carl's eyes narrowed. "It is not." Anna stared at him. "You do not understand what happens to people like me when powerful people decide to speak about them." Carl's jaw worked, as if he were swallowing a truth he did not like. "Then, make me understand." Anna's throat tightened. "Why? So you can decide if I'm worth protecting?" Carl's voice sharpened. "So I can protect you properly?" Anna's eyes stung with something she refused to name. "Properly," she repeated, bitter. "As if protection is a service offered by your title." Carl held her gaze. "As if I have a responsibility." Anna's voice dropped to a whisper. "You cannot mend what the palace breaks." Carl's expression tightened. "Maybe not, but I can stop it from breaking you again." Anna's fingers found the locket under her shawl. She held it tight, feeling the metal bite into her palm. Carl noticed the movement. "That locket," he said, quieter now. "It belongs to someone." Anna's breath caught. "It belongs to me." Carl's eyes did not leave her face. "How did you come by it?" Anna's voice went thin. "It was given." "By whom?" Carl asked. Anna shook her head. "No." Carl's expression hardened with frustration, but he kept his voice controlled. "I went to Father Matthias before dawn," he said. Anna's heart lurched. "You did?" Carl nodded once. He recognized the style of the locket, not the exact markings, but the kind. Anna's mouth went dry. "And what did he say?" Carl studied her for a moment. "He said he has seen you before." Anna's knees felt weak again. She pressed her back against the wall to steady herself. Carl's voice lowered. "He said you came to him years ago, not as Anna Weiss." Anna's throat closed. Carl stepped closer, his eyes searching hers with a steady intensity that was almost worse than cruelty. "Anna," he said, and her name sounded like a plea again. "I am not asking to punish you. I am asking because the palace already has its own story. If I do not know the truth, I cannot stop them from writing it for you." Anna swallowed hard. Her fingers hurt from gripping the locket. The corridor felt too narrow. The air felt thin. "I was here once," she said, voice trembling. "Not in these halls, not in silk, but near enough." Carl did not interrupt. Anna took a breath. "I worked. I kept my eyes down. I did what I was told." Carl's jaw tightened, and then Anna's mouth twisted. "Then someone decided I knew too much, or that I might speak, or that I might be inconvenient." Carl's gaze sharpened. "Who decided?" Anna shook her head, fierce. "No, I will not say names." Carl's voice stayed steady. "I am not asking for names." "Not yet." Anna's chest tightened. "Not yet," she repeated, and the words sounded like a threat even if he did not intend them. Carl's expression softened slightly. "You jumped into the river for my sons. That is not the act of an opportunist." Anna's eyes flashed. "Do you think poor people only do good things when they want something?" Carl flinched, then answered quietly, "No." "Then why keep digging?" Anna demanded. "Why not let me go?" Carl's voice dropped. "Because Sabine will not let you go." Anna stared at him, breath caught. Carl continued, low and firm. "She will follow you with whispers. She will turn your heroism into suspicion. She will make the city believe you intended the accident." Anna's stomach twisted. "That is absurd." Carl's eyes darkened. Absurd things become truth when enough people repeat them. Anna felt cold creep up her spine again, not river cold, but the cold of memory, the cold of doors shutting, the cold of being named and judged without defense. Carl took another step closer. "Tell me what I'm protecting," he said softly. "Tell me who you are." Anna's vision blurred for a moment. She blinked hard. She could still feel Lucas's small fingers on her shawl. She could still hear Felix's voice, commanding kindness like it was law. She tried to speak. The words stuck. Carl's voice softened further. "I am not Countess Sabine," he said. "I am not my mother. I am not the court. I am a man who owes you his son's lives." Anna let out a shaky breath. "That is a dangerous kind of owing." Carl held her gaze. "Then turn it into something safer." Anna's mouth opened, closed, opened again. She looked down at her hands. The locket gleamed faintly where her fingers had pulled it out. Her thumb rubbed the edge like a nervous habit. "Once," she whispered, "I had a different name." Carl's eyes sharpened. "What was it?" Anna's chest rose and fell quickly. "If I say it, everything changes." Carl nodded once. "Yes." Anna's voice broke. "If I say it, you might regret bringing me here." Carl's jaw tightened. "Or I might regret that I did not find you sooner." Anna flinched at that, because it sounded too much like tenderness, and tenderness had always been followed by loss. She lifted her eyes to his. "You promised me one thing," she said, voice trembling. Carl answered immediately. "Name it." Anna swallowed. "If I tell you, you will not let them use it to humiliate me." Carl's gaze held steady. "I will not." Anna let out a breath that shook, as if something heavy had finally shifted inside her. Her lips parted, and her voice came out small, almost childlike. Carl leaned in slightly, as if afraid he might miss it. Anna whispered, "I was called." Carl's eyes locked on hers, unblinking. He spoke, low and certain, as if anchoring her to the moment before she could retreat again. "Tell me your name." Anna's lips trembled. Carl waited, still as stone, but his eyes were not stone. They were too awake, too intent. "My name," she whispered, and the words sounded like they had to be pulled from a place that hurt. It was Anna Hartman. Carl did not react the way she feared. No shock, no disgust, no instant judgment. "Hartman," he repeated softly, as if testing the sound. "That is what Father Matthias said as well." Anna's breath caught. "He said it." "He did," Carl replied. "He said you came to him years ago crying, with a small bag and no place to go. He said you asked for work and refused pity." Anna closed her eyes. The memory came too quickly. The cold of the church floor, the candle smoke, the shame of asking. "I did not come here to become a story again," she murmured. Carl's voice stayed steady. "Then we will stop them from turning you into one." Anna opened her eyes. "You cannot stop them." "I can try," Carl said. "And I can do something else." "What?" Carl's jaw tightened. "I can bring the truth into a room where whispers cannot change it." Anna's fingers clenched around her shawl. "A room full of people who decide what truth is." Carl's gaze held hers. "Yes." Anna's voice went thin. "Countess Sabine will be there." "She will," Carl answered. Anna shook her head. "Then you are putting me in front of my executioner." Carl's eyes darkened. "No, I am putting you in front of witnesses." Anna let out a bitter breath. "Witnesses rarely help the powerless." Carl didn't argue. He only said, "They will this time." "How can you promise that?" Anna demanded. Carl's voice lowered. "Because it will not be a spectacle. It will be private, controlled, and I will be in it." Anna stared at him, seeing the stubbornness that had brought her into the palace in the first place. A stubbornness that did not feel like cruelty. It felt like a man trying to correct something he could not name. "And if I refuse?" she asked. Carl exhaled once. "Then you will still be safe tonight. But tomorrow the Countess will spread her version, and my mother will decide the proper response, and you will be pushed out with a coin and a warning. You will leave with everyone convinced you tried to climb." Anna's stomach twisted. "I did not try to climb." "I know," Carl said. Anna's voice cracked. "Then let me leave now, quietly, before they wake." Carl shook his head. "You tried. They stopped you." Anna looked away, ashamed again. Karl's tone softened. "You saved my sons. I will not allow the palace to repay you with fear." Anna's throat tightened. "You talk as if gratitude is justice." Karl stepped closer. "Careful. It is not," he said. "But it can be the beginning of it." Anna swallowed hard. She wanted to refuse. She wanted to disappear, but she could already feel the net tightening, woven from silence and rumor. "Fine," she whispered. "One room, one truth. Then I go." Karl nodded once. "Then we will speak this morning." "Now?" Anna asked, startled. Karl's expression was firm. "Before the day fills with visitors, before the Countess has a chance to decorate her story." Anna's hands trembled. "I am not dressed for a tribunal." "It will not be a tribunal," Karl said again, "and you are dressed well enough to be heard." He held out his arm, not to seize her, but to support her. Anna stared at it, as if it were a trap. Karl did not push. "You do not have to take it," he said quietly, "but you will need support. Your legs are still weak." Anna's pride flared, then collapsed under the simple truth of her body. She took his arm. His sleeve was firm under her fingers. He guided her down the corridor with measured steps, slowing whenever she wavered. Servants glanced up and then looked away too quickly, pretending they had not seen. Pretending was the palace's favorite skill. Anna whispered, "They are watching." Karl murmured back, "Let them." They reached a small sitting room tucked away from the grand halls. It was not lavish. It was simply quiet, with chairs arranged as if for conversation rather than judgment. Dr. Emmerich stood near the window, hands behind his back. Father Matthias sat with his cap in his lap, posture humble, eyes sharp. The dowager stood by the hearth, perfectly composed, and beside her, Countess Sabine sat as if she owned the air. Anna's stomach turned at the sight of Sabine's smile. It was polite. That was the worst part. Karl guided Anna to a chair and stepped back. He did not stand behind her like a guard. He stood beside her like an equal, and the choice made the room shift. The dowager spoke first. "Karl, Mother," Karl replied. His voice was calm. "Thank you for coming." The dowager's eyes flicked to Anna. "I did not come for her comfort." Karl nodded. "I know." Countess Sabine leaned forward slightly, hands folded. "How solemn you look, Your Highness. One would think you were about to announce a treaty." Karl's gaze moved to her, steady. "You sent me a message last night." Sabine's smile widened. "I did. It seemed necessary." Dr. Emmerich cleared his throat. "If we are to discuss a patient's past, I suggest we keep it brief. She is not fully recovered." Sabine's eyes slid to the doctor, amused. "Always the guardian of fragile bodies, Doctor." "Some of us must guard fragile reputations." Father Matthias's voice cut in, quiet but firm. "Reputation is not a soul, Countess." Sabine's smile did not falter. "And yet souls do not keep houses standing, Father. Money and name do." Karl raised a hand slightly. "Enough. We are not here to trade philosophy." The dowager's eyes narrowed. "Then why are we here, Karl?" Karl faced her. "Because my sons nearly died. Because Anna nearly died saving them. And because my household is already dividing itself into pity and suspicion. I will not allow gossip to decide what happens next." Sabine's expression turned innocently curious. "And what happens next, Your Highness?" Karl did not look away from her. "First, we clarify what you meant." Sabine placed a hand on her chest as if wounded. "What I meant was simple. I recognized certain hints. A locket, a posture, a manner of speaking. I thought it unwise to let you proceed blindly." Anna's fingers tightened around the edge of her chair. "Proceed to what?" Sabine's gaze flicked to Anna as if noticing her for the first time. "Dear woman, to placing you in a position where you might be misunderstood." Anna's voice went tight. "Misunderstood by whom?" Sabine's smile softened. "By Vienna." The dowager spoke, crisp. "Say what you know, Sabine. Do not linger." Sabine inclined her head. "Very well. Years ago there was a girl named Anna Hartmann who served in a noble household connected to this very family. She was present in rooms where she did not belong. She heard things she should not have heard. She saw things she should not have seen. And then, quite sensibly, she disappeared." Anna's mouth went dry. The Countess said the words as if describing a stain being scrubbed away. Karl's voice was controlled. "That girl is in this room." Sabine's eyes gleamed. "So she says." Anna's breath caught. "So I say." Sabine shrugged delicately. "People adopt names. People invent histories. People craft tears when it suits them." Dr. Emmerich's voice sharpened. "Countess, she was pulled from an icy river. If she crafted that, she deserves a stage, not a purse." Sabine laughed softly. "Heroism can be convenient, Doctor." The Dowager's eyes snapped to Sabine. "Are you accusing her of causing the accident?" Sabine lifted her hands slightly. "No, no. I merely suggest that coincidence has a fondness for those who know how to use it." Anna's face burned. She turned to Karl, voice shaking. "This is what she does. She does not accuse. She suggests." Karl's gaze held hers briefly, a steadying look, then turned back to Sabine. "You said you recognized hints," he said. "Then let us speak plainly. What was Anna Hartmann accused of?" Sabine's smile became thin. "Accused is such an ugly word." Father Matthias spoke gently. "It is the correct word." Sabine's eyes slid to him, amused again. "Very well, she was accused of indiscretion, of being too close, of misunderstanding her place." Anna swallowed hard. "I was a companion, a helper. I carried messages. I brought tea. I read aloud when asked. That was my closeness." The Dowager's gaze sharpened. "To whom?" Anna hesitated. Karl said calmly, "Speak." Anna forced the words out. "To Lady Margareta." The Dowager's posture shifted. Lady Margareta was her daughter, Karl's sister. The name struck the room like a bell. The Dowager's voice turned cold. "You served in my daughter's household?" Anna nodded, throat tight. "Briefly." Sabine leaned in, delighted by the tension. "Briefly," she echoed. "Yes, briefly. Until she proved unfit." Dr. Emmerich's eyes narrowed. "Unfit? For what?" Sabine's gaze flicked toward Karl as if sharing a secret. "For discretion." Anna's voice trembled. "I was discreet." Sabine's smile brightened. "And yet you were removed." Anna's chest tightened. "Because someone wanted me removed." Karl's voice was sharp. "Who?" Anna shook her head fiercely. "I will not." Father Matthias spoke softly. "Anna, I know you fear names, but you are not alone in this room. You are not a girl on a church floor anymore." Anna's eyes stung. She hated that they did. She hated that Father Matthias could still find the frightened part of her so easily. Karl's voice lowered. "You do not have to accuse anyone," he said. "Just tell us what happened." Anna swallowed hard. "Lady Margareta was kind to me," she began, voice unsteady. "She spoke to me like a person. She asked me to read. She asked me to accompany her when she visited the poor districts, because she said a noblewoman alone draws attention. And I knew the streets." The Dowager's face tightened. "My daughter did such visits." "She did," Father Matthias confirmed quietly. "She brought bread to my parish more than once." The Dowager's gaze flicked to him, startled. Anna continued. "One evening I was sent to deliver a small packet. Not money, letters. I was told not to read them. I did not. But when I arrived, I saw Countess Sabine leaving the same room." Sabine's smile did not move, but her eyes sharpened. "How imaginative." Anna's hands clenched. "It is not imagination. I saw you." Sabine's voice stayed gentle, almost tender. "You saw a woman in a corridor. Corridors are full of women, Anna." Anna flinched at the Countess using her name. It felt like a hand closing around her throat. Karl's gaze pinned Sabine. "Let her speak." Anna swallowed again. "After that, Lady Margareta began receiving pressure, invitations, advice, warnings, and then she grew frightened. Not of me, of what she was being told." The Dowager's voice cracked slightly despite herself. "Frightened of what?" Anna's voice softened because the truth was not a weapon. "Of scandal, of being laughed at, of being called foolish for caring about the poor, of being called reckless for trusting someone like me." The Dowager's jaw worked as if swallowing something bitter. Anna continued, words tumbling now. "Then a rumor spread that I was taking liberties, that I spoke too freely, that I told stories about what I saw in noble houses. I did not. But it was enough." Sabine shrugged. Rumors spread like smoke. No one can control smoke. Dr. Emmerich's eyes flashed. Some people light the fire. Sabine's smile widened. Doctor, you are quite dramatic. Father Matthias's voice was steady. Anna came to me afterward. She had been dismissed with a few coins and a warning. She asked for work. She did not ask to return. She asked to vanish. The dowager's gaze sharpened. Did you warn her? Father Matthias met her eyes without flinching. I told her to keep her head down. In Vienna, that is all the poor can do when the powerful decide they are inconvenient. A heavy silence settled. Karl's voice cut through it. Sabine, he said, you spoke to me last night as if you were protecting me. Sabine's eyes glittered. I was. Karl's jaw tightened. From what? From the embarrassment of having a woman I wronged in my house? Sabine's smile faltered for the first time. Wronged? You did not wrong her. She was a servant who exceeded her. She was dismissed, Karl interrupted, voice hard, because someone wanted to tidy a problem. The dowager's voice went sharp. Karl turned to his mother. Mother, you are asking me to send her away again, to repeat the same act with cleaner gloves. The dowager's eyes narrowed. You are asking me to invite disorder into this family. Karl answered, I am asking you to admit there was disorder already. Anna sat frozen, listening as if she were hearing the palace speak in a language she had never been allowed to learn. They argued about her as if she were a concept, and yet Karl kept pulling her back into personhood. Sabine's voice turned sweet again. Your Highness, you are overcorrecting. It is admirable, but you are letting emotion lead you into foolishness. Karl's gaze was cold. Do not speak of foolishness while pretending you cannot see what you have done. Sabine's eyebrows lifted, offended. What I have done? Karl's voice did not rise, but it hardened. You came into my study last night and tried to shape my thoughts before I could speak to Anna. You spoke as if you owned the narrative. You do not. Sabine's smile thinned. I speak as a loyal friend of this family. Anna's voice came out unexpectedly. A loyal friend would have jumped into the river. The words fell into the room like a stone. The dowager's eyes snapped to Anna. Sabine's face tightened. Dr. Emmerich looked down quickly as if hiding a flicker of approval. Father Matthias's mouth pressed into a line. Karl did not look away from Anna. He only said softly, Thank you. Anna's breath shook. She had not planned the sentence. It had come from the part of her that was tired of being managed. The dowager spoke, voice clipped. Anna Hartmann, what do you want? Anna blinked. The directness startled her more than cruelty would have. I want to leave, Anna said, then stopped because the words did not feel honest enough. She swallowed. I want to live without being chased by whispers. Sabine leaned back. Then accept a purse and go. The world is simple. Anna turned toward her, voice tight. The world is not simple for people without names that protect them. Karl faced his mother again. She will not be given a purse and dismissed, he said, not as if she were a problem to be solved quietly. The dowager's eyes narrowed. Then what do you intend? Karl's voice was steady. I intend to offer her protection without humiliation. Sabine laughed softly. Protection. How noble. Karl's gaze flicked to Sabine, cold. You will stop speaking about her. Sabine's smile returned, careful. You cannot command the city. I can command my household, Karl replied, and you, Countess, will not be in it unless invited. A small silence followed, sharp with consequence. The dowager inhaled slowly. Karl, she said, quieter now, you are making enemies. Karl answered without hesitation. Then let them be enemies of decency. The dowager's jaw tightened. She looked at Anna again, and for a moment her expression softened into something like reluctant recognition. Not warmth, not affection, but an acknowledgement that a line had been crossed long ago. You saved my grandsons, she said at last, voice controlled. That cannot be denied. Anna's throat tightened. She did not know how to respond to a statement that sounded like a concession and a warning at once. The dowager continued, You will remain under the doctor's supervision until you are fully recovered. Anna started to speak, but Karl lifted a hand slightly, a quiet signal to wait. The dowager's gaze shifted to Karl. If you insist on protecting her, you will do it properly, quietly, without turning her into a banner you wave in front of the court. Karl nodded once. Agreed. Sabine's smile was brittle. So the beggar becomes a guest. How charming. Karl's eyes cut to her. She is not a beggar in this room. Sabine's gaze stayed smooth. Then what is she? Karl's voice was calm, final. She is a woman who did what none of us did fast enough. That is what she is. Father Matthias rose slowly, cap still in hand. Your Highness, he said to Karl, if you wish, I will keep record of her identity in my parish register. If questions come, there will be a truth that does not bend. Karl nodded. Yes. Thank you, Father. Dr. Emmerich stepped forward. And I will ensure her recovery is not treated as an inconvenience. She will not be forced out before her body is ready. The dowager's gaze flicked to the doctor. See that you do. Sabine stood as well, smoothing her skirt, smile returning like a mask. Well, how very uplifting. I am certain Vienna will weep. Karl met her eyes. Vienna will mind its manners. Or I will. Sabine dipped her head, the picture of obedience, and walked out. The dowager lingered a heartbeat longer. Her gaze rested on Anna, and her voice lowered so it was not a command, not quite. Do not mistake this for affection, she said, but do not mistake it for cruelty either. It is reality. Anna nodded, because she understood reality more than anyone in that room. When the dowager left, Father Matthias gave Anna a small, steady look, as if blessing her without theatrics, and then he followed. Dr. Emmerich paused by Anna's chair. You did well, he murmured. Now do not faint to prove it. Anna let out a breath that might have been a laugh. When the doctor left, the room became quieter but not oppressive, just quiet enough for Anna to hear her own breathing. Karl stood near the hearth, hands behind his back, staring into the fire as if the flames were easier to face than what he felt. Anna spoke first, voice raw. You have made your mother yield. Karl turned toward her. For now. Anna's fingers clenched. And Sabine will not stop. Karl walked closer, stopping a respectful distance away. No, he said. She will not. But she will find fewer doors open to her if she continues. Anna looked down at her hands. You are doing this because you feel guilty. Karl did not deny it. Yes. Anna's voice shook. Guilt fades. Karl's jaw tightened. Then let me build something that does not depend on guilt. Anna's eyes lifted. What? Karl's voice softened. A place for you in this household that does not feel like charity. Anna swallowed hard. I do not want to be a symbol. You will not be, Karl said. You will be yourself. Anna's mouth tightened. I do not even know who that is anymore. Karl's gaze held hers, steady, quiet. Then we will begin with what you do know. Anna's throat tightened. What I know is the streets. Karl nodded. And my sons know you saved them. They will not forget. And I cannot forget either. Anna's breath caught. She looked away quickly, because his sincerity made her feel exposed. Karl stepped back slightly, giving her space. You may leave when you are strong enough, he said. No guard will stop you. Anna's voice was small. And when I leave, Sabine will follow with whispers. Karl's expression tightened. Then do not leave alone. Anna's head snapped up. What does that mean? Karl's voice stayed calm, but there was something in it that unsettled her. Not threat, not command, something like a door opening. It means you will have my protection, he said. Not for a day, not for a week, as long as you need it. Anna's fingers trembled. And what will you ask in return? Karl answered immediately. Nothing that would shame you. Anna stared at him, disbelieving. Karl's gaze softened. Whatever you decide, you will not be discarded again. Anna expected the palace to tighten around her after that sitting room. Instead, it held its breath. For a day, there were fewer footsteps outside her door, fewer whispers. Even the maid who brought her tea stopped darting her eyes toward the corridor as if expecting someone to strike. That was how Anna knew something larger was moving. When a house like this grew quiet, it meant the powerful were deciding what the quiet would cost. On the second morning, Dr. Emmerich entered with his usual briskness and an unusual look in his eyes. You are walking, he said. Anna narrowed her gaze. You did not even ask. I am not asking, he replied, placing a shawl on the chair. You will take 10 steps, I will count. If you collapse on the 7th, I will be insufferable about it for weeks. Anna's mouth twitched despite herself. You already are. He nodded as if pleased. Good. Sit up." Anna swung her legs down and stood. Her knees trembled, but they held. She took one step, then another. Dr. Emmerich counted under his breath, hands hovering at her elbow without touching. When she reached 10, she exhaled, surprised by the small victory. "Again," he said. Anna shot him a look. "No." "Yes," he replied, "because I do not want you leaving this house out of panic. I want you leaving because you choose to, with your head clear." Anna's throat tightened. "You talk as if leaving is certain." Dr. Emmerich's expression softened. "I talk as if choice is your right." Anna stared at him for a long moment, then took another step. The door burst open before she reached 10 again. Felix and Lucas charged in like they owned the room. Their governess followed, breathless, hands extended as if trying to catch them in the air. "No running," the governess scolded. "No, no, no, you promised." "We are not running," Felix declared, already at Anna's side. Lucas reached up and grabbed Anna's hand, warm and insistent. "You are standing." Anna looked down at him. "So are you." "Yes," Lucas said solemnly. "But you were in the river." Felix frowned at Dr. Emmerich. "Did you make her stand?" "I did," the doctor replied unbothered, "and I will make you stand still if you keep darting." Felix's eyes widened in admiration. "You cannot make me stand still." Dr. Emmerich looked at him. "Do you want me to try?" Felix hesitated, then backed up a single step, offended and impressed at once. Lucas tugged Anna's hand. "We came because Father said we could speak to you." Anna's heart tightened. "He did?" Felix nodded, proud. "He said we must not bother you, but we are not bothering. We are visiting." Anna tried to pull her hand back gently. Lucas held tighter. "Do not disappear," Lucas said, voice small. Anna swallowed. "I am here." Felix's eyes narrowed, as if he could see every thought on her face. "Are you thinking about leaving again?" Anna's chest rose, fell. She did not know how to answer a child who asked the truth like it was a simple thing. Dr. Emmerich cleared his throat. "The visit will be short," he told the governess, then looked at the boys. 5 minutes, then out." Felix bristled. "We are princes," Dr. Emmerich nodded. "And I am a doctor. 5 minutes." The governess looked ready to laugh and cry at once. "Thank you, doctor." Lucas leaned in close to Anna, lowering his voice. "Father is strange." Anna blinked. "Strange? He looks at the fire and does not blink," Lucas whispered. "He forgets to drink his tea," Felix added, equally quiet and serious. "And he told Grandmama to be quiet." Anna's breath caught. "He did?" Felix nodded, delighted. Grandmama went stiff like a candle. Dr. Emmerich coughed again, very pointed. The governess gathered the boys. "We must go, we truly must." Felix stepped back but pointed a finger at Anna as if issuing a decree. "You must keep eating." Lucas kissed Anna's hand. Not like a flirtation, like devotion. "And you must stay long enough for us to say thank you properly." Anna's throat tightened so hard she could barely breathe. "You already have?" Felix shook his head. "No, properly, with a plan." "What plan?" Anna asked, alarmed. The boys only grinned in unison, and their governess pulled them out before they could explain. When the door shut, Anna realized her cheeks were wet. She wiped them quickly, angry at herself. Dr. Emmerich pretended not to notice. "Again," he said. Anna lifted her chin. "Count to 10, he did. By the time she reached the last step, her legs ached, but she felt something else beneath the ache. A steadiness, the kind she had once only felt when walking alone at night, head down, relying on no one. Now she was relying on herself again. That mattered. At noon, the maid entered with fresh linens and a more careful expression than usual. "He wishes to see you," she said. Anna's stomach tightened. "Who?" The maid lowered her eyes as if the name itself belonged above them. "His Highness." Anna looked at Dr. Emmerich. The doctor's face was unreadable, but he gave a small nod. "You may go," he said. "Walk slowly. If you fall, I will be insufferable." Anna exhaled. "You already said that." "Yes," he replied. "I enjoy consistency." The maid led Anna through corridors that suddenly felt less hostile. Servants bowed. Some looked away quickly. Some looked at Anna with something like curiosity that had been forced into respect. They reached Karl's study. The maid tapped softly and withdrew. Anna stepped inside. Carl stood by the window, hands behind his back, posture too still. He turned when he heard the door close. His gaze went to Anna's feet first, then to her face, as if checking that she had arrived under her own strength. "You are walking," he said. Anna's voice came out cautious. "The doctor insists." Carl's mouth tightened. "I am grateful." Anna's hands curled at her sides. "You did not bring me here to discuss my walking." Carl hesitated, and that hesitation made her pulse jump. "No," he said. "I brought you here because I have failed to do something properly." Anna's throat tightened. "I have noticed you care about proper." He looked at her, and his voice softened. "I have failed to ask you how you wish this to end." Anna stared at him. "End?" Carl stepped forward slowly, as if one sudden move might frighten her. "Countess Sabine has been speaking," he said. "She has not stopped. She cannot stop. It is her nature." Anna's stomach twisted. "And your mother?" Carl's eyes flicked away. "My mother has begun to understand something she does not like understanding." Anna let out a short breath. "And you?" Carl's gaze returned to hers. "I am done letting other people decide the shape of your life." Anna's voice sharpened. "Then let me leave." Carl shook his head gently. "Not like this." "Like what?" Anna demanded. "Like a woman hidden in a palace room while the court invents reasons to despise her?" Carl's jaw tightened. "No. Like a woman running because she thinks she has no right to stand." Anna swallowed hard. "Do I?" Carl's answer was immediate. "Yes." The certainty in his voice hit her like warmth. It was not flattery. It was a decision. Anna's fingers trembled. "You cannot give me rights." Carl took another step closer. "I can give you my name." Anna froze. The room seemed smaller, the air sharper. She heard her own breath, uneven. Carl's voice stayed calm. "If you leave alone, Sabine's whispers will chase you into every street. If you remain as you are, my mother's world will treat you as a temporary mistake, a story to be tidied." Anna's mouth went dry. "And if I take your name?" Carl's eyes held hers. "Then the palace must look at you and see a person who cannot be dismissed." Anna's voice came out in a whisper. "You are speaking of marriage." Carl nodded once. Anna's knees felt weak, and she hated herself for it. "You do not love me." Carl's gaze did not waver. "I am not offering you a romance to soothe myself." Anna's voice trembled. "Then why?" Carl's jaw worked as if he were choosing words that would not wound her. "Because you changed something in me the moment you jumped into the river." Anna flinched because the memory was too sharp. Carl continued, softer now. "I have spent my life being told my title is duty. I believed it. I performed it. And then I watched my sons vanish beneath ice, and I realized duty without courage is nothing." Anna swallowed. "That is not love." Carl's eyes darkened with feeling he did not try to hide. "It is the beginning of it." Anna turned her face away quickly. "Beginnings do not protect anyone." Carl's voice lowered. "Beginnings can become vows." Anna's chest tightened. "And what do you want from me, Carl? What do you truly want?" Carl took one more step, stopping close enough that Anna could feel his presence without being touched. "I want you safe," he said. "I want my sons to grow up seeing the world as it is, not as my mother's circle pretends it is. And I—" His voice caught slightly. "I want you near me, because when you are not, I feel the way I felt when the ice broke." Anna's breath hitched. Carl's gaze searched hers. "Do you know what that is?" Anna whispered. "Fear." Carl nodded. "Fear and clarity. I do not want to go back to blindness." Anna's throat tightened. "You are offering me your name to correct your conscience." Carl's expression tightened. At first, perhaps. Anna's eyes stung. "And now?" Carl's voice turned quiet, unbearably sincere. "Now I cannot imagine my house without you in it." Anna's hands clenched. She wanted to say no. She wanted to protect herself from hope. Hope was the cruelest thing she had ever known, and yet she remembered Lucas's kiss on her hand, Felix's command to eat, the boy's fierce refusal to forget her. She remembered the dowager's stiff concession, Dr. Emmerich's steady insistence that she had a right to choose. She looked back at Carl. "If I agree," she said, voice trembling, "they will say I planned it." Carl's jaw tightened. "They will say whatever their bitterness requires, but they will say it from outside my door." Anna swallowed. "And Sabine?" Karl's eyes hardened. Sabine will learn she cannot push people off cliffs with smiles. Anna's lips parted. You sound certain. Karl's voice turned firm. Because I am finished being polite to cruelty. Anna flinched at the word, but he said it like a fact, not an insult. She took a shaky breath. If I accept, she whispered, I will not be your ornament. Karl's answer came instantly. You will be my equal. Anna stared at him, searching for a lie. She found none. And if I refuse? She asked. Karl exhaled slowly. Then I will still protect you. I will arrange a home, work, a quiet life beyond the palace. Anna's eyes narrowed. A quiet life you design. Karl's gaze stayed steady. Yes, which is why I would rather you choose something you design with me. Anna's heart hammered. You are giving me 2 cages and calling them choices. Karl's mouth tightened, not angry, only honest. Perhaps, but one of those cages has a key in your hand. Silence stretched between them. Anna's fingers went to the locket at her throat. She pulled it out slowly. It gleamed dull in daylight. Karl's eyes dropped to it. That was yours, before the streets, he said. Anna nodded. It was given to me by Lady Margareta, she whispered. The night she dismissed me. She was crying. She said, keep something that says you were once seen. Karl's jaw tightened. My sister was not cruel. No, Anna said. She was afraid. Karl's voice turned low. And Sabine fed that fear. Anna's chest tightened. Yes. Karl looked at the locket, then back at Anna's face. Will you let my name say you are seen now? Anna's breath shook. She closed her fingers around the locket and held it against her palm like an anchor. Then she looked up and spoke very softly, as if saying it louder might break it. Yes, she said. If your offer is truly mine to accept, then yes. Karl's eyes widened slightly, and for a heartbeat his composure slipped. Relief, gratitude, something deeper. He bowed his head once, not as a prince, but as a man whose life had shifted. Then I will do this properly, he said. Anna swallowed. Properly. Karl nodded. With your dignity first. The palace did not explode into celebration the way Anna feared. It did not become a circus overnight. It became tense. By late afternoon, a small gathering was arranged in the private chapel. Not a grand announcement, not a parade. Karl wanted witnesses, but not a spectacle. The dowager insisted on propriety. Dr. Emmerich insisted on Anna's strength. Father Matthias insisted on truth. And Countess Sabine insisted on appearing. Anna stood in a simple, clean dress. Not silk, not lace meant to impress, just fabric that fit and did not feel like borrowed shame. The maid had pinned Anna's hair neatly, hands trembling the whole time. You are sure? The maid whispered. Anna met her eyes. No, she answered honestly. But I am choosing. The maid's throat bobbed. That is more than most. In the corridor outside the chapel, Karl's mother approached Anna. The dowager's steps were measured, her face controlled. Anna braced herself. The dowager stopped an arm's length away. She looked Anna up and down, not to judge her dress, but to measure the strength in her spine. You are not trembling, the dowager observed. Anna's fingers were cold but steady. I have trembled enough for a lifetime. The dowager's mouth tightened. You speak plainly. Anna nodded. It is safer. A small pause. Then the dowager did something Anna did not expect. She extended her hand. Not a warm gesture, not affectionate, formal. A bridge offered because it had to be, and perhaps because a small part of the woman understood the cost of refusing. Anna stared at the gloved hand. The dowager's eyes narrowed. Do not make me stand here too long. Anna almost smiled. She reached out and placed her fingers lightly on the dowager's hand. The dowager's grip was firm and brief. You saved my grandsons, the dowager said quietly. I will not insult that. Anna's throat tightened. Thank you. The dowager's gaze flicked toward the chapel doors. Do not thank me too quickly. Anna's breath caught. What do you mean? The dowager's voice lowered. Sabine has brought something. Papers. She has been showing them to anyone who will look. Anna felt cold crawl up her spine. What papers? The dowager's lips pressed together. Something meant to suggest you were a liar, and that Karl is being manipulated. Anna's stomach turned. Of course. The dowager's eyes sharpened. If you are going to stand beside my son, you will learn quickly that people will try to pull you off the step. Anna swallowed. And you? The dowager's gaze held hers. I will not allow Sabine to turn my family into her entertainment. Anna blinked. It was not kindness, but it was alignment, and it mattered. Inside the chapel, the air was hushed. Father Matthias stood near the front, hands folded, eyes calm. Dr. Emmerich sat behind, as if ready to catch Anna if she swayed, though his posture remained dignified. Karl waited near the altar, face composed, eyes fixed on the doors. When Anna entered, his gaze softened so visibly that it stole her breath. He stepped forward without thinking, then stopped himself as if remembering every eye in the room. Anna approached him slowly. You are here, Karl whispered, and his voice sounded like he had been holding it in. Anna lifted her chin. I said yes. Karl's eyes searched hers. You can still change your mind. Anna's throat tightened. Do not offer me escape when I am trying to stand. Karl's mouth tightened, and something like pride warmed his expression. As you wish. A faint stir moved through the gathered witnesses as Countess Sabine entered. She wore elegance like armor, her smile serene. She carried a small folder in her hands as if it were a devotional book. Anna's fingers curled. She is not stopping, she murmured. Karl's voice was low. Neither am I. Sabine glided toward the front with practiced grace. Your Highness, she said sweetly, dipping her head. How intimate. How touching. Karl did not smile. Countess. Sabine's eyes moved to Anna. And dear Anna, how very elevated you look. Anna's voice was steady. How very predictable you sound. A few brows lifted. The dowager's mouth tightened as if hiding the slightest hint of satisfaction. Sabine's smile remained. I am only concerned for the family. That is why I brought these. She extended the folder toward the dowager first, as if appealing to hierarchy. The dowager did not take it. Speak, she said coldly. If you have something to say it. Sabine's eyes glittered. Very well. She opened the folder and withdrew a sheet of paper. A statement. From a former servant in Lady Margareta's household. It claims Anna Hartmann was dismissed for theft. Anna's breath caught. The word hit like a slap, not because it was plausible, but because she knew how quickly plausible did not matter. Karl's jaw tightened. That is false. Sabine lifted the page delicately. It bears a signature. Anna's fingers trembled, but she forced them still. Ink is easy, she said. Sabine's smile sharpened. Not as easy as pity. Dr. Emmerich rose from his seat, voice crisp. Countess, you are accusing her in a chapel. Sabine looked at him, amused. I am presenting concerns. Father Matthias stepped forward. His calm did not waver. May I see the paper? Sabine hesitated, then handed it to him as if indulging a harmless old man. Father Matthias examined it, eyes narrowing slightly. Anna watched his face, trying to read it, her pulse pounding. Father Matthias lifted his gaze. This signature, he said quietly, belongs to a woman who died 2 years ago. A silence fell so sudden, it felt like the room itself stopped breathing. Sabine's smile tightened. That is uncertain. Father Matthias's voice remained steady. It is certain. She is buried in my parish ground. I performed the service. Sabine's eyes flickered. Then perhaps someone signed on her behalf. Father Matthias's gaze sharpened. Or perhaps someone forged it. A murmur stirred. Not outrage, not chaos. Something colder. Recognition. The dowager's eyes narrowed, dangerously calm. Sabine, she said, how did you come by a statement signed by the dead? Sabine's composure held, but it was strained now. People bring me things. Karl's voice cut in, controlled and lethal in its calm. And you bring them here? Sabine lifted her chin. Your Highness, do not be dramatic. I am trying to protect you from a mistake. Anna's voice came out clear, surprising even herself. The mistake was sending me away years ago. Sabine's eyes flashed. How ungrateful. Anna's gaze stayed steady. I am not ungrateful. I am finished being afraid. Karl turned toward Father Matthias. Father, he said quietly, you said you would keep record of her identity. Father Matthias nodded. I did. He produced a small book from within his coat, worn but careful. Her name, the date she came to me, the locket she carried, the note Lady Margareta wrote, asking me to help her quietly. Anna's breath caught. She wrote to you? Father Matthias glanced at her with quiet kindness. She did. She did not want you to starve. Karl's jaw tightened. And Sabine wanted the palace to forget you existed. Sabine's smile was gone now, replaced by a thin, offended line. This is absurd. The dowager stepped forward at last, and when she spoke, her voice carried the weight of generations. It is not absurd. It is embarrassing. Sabine's eyes widened. Your Grace, the dowager lifted a hand. Enough. Sabine tried to recover her sweetness. I only meant to guard the family's name. Karl's voice was steady. You meant to guard your influence. Sabine's nostrils flared. I will not be insulted in a chapel. The dowager's eyes were ice. Then do not behave in a way that invites it. Sabine's gaze darted, searching for support. Finding none, she gathered her papers with quick, stiff movements. Karl spoke, calm and final. You will leave. Sabine's head snapped up. Excuse me? Karl met her eyes. You will leave my household affairs. You will leave my sons' names out of your mouth, and you will not approach Anna again. Sabine's voice trembled with controlled fury. You cannot banish me from Vienna. Karl's reply was quiet. No, but I can close every door I own. Sabine's eyes flashed to the dowager, hoping. The dowager did not blink. Go home, Sabine, she said coldly, and consider that even loyalty has limits. Sabine's breath hitched. She bowed stiffly, the gesture empty, and turned away. As she passed Anna, she leaned in just enough to whisper, Enjoy your elevation. Heights are dangerous. Anna looked at her calmly. Only if you push, she replied. Sabine's lips tightened, and she swept out. The chapel exhaled. Anna's knees felt weak. Not from fear now, from the sheer release of it. Karl stepped closer, voice low. Are you all right? Anna swallowed. I think, yes. Dr. Emmerich spoke from behind, dry as ever. She will be if no one produces another ghost with a pen. A small ripple of restrained amusement moved through the room, and Anna realized something startling. They were not laughing at her. They were laughing with relief that the ugliness had been named. The dowager turned to Karl. Proceed, she said. Karl faced Anna fully now. His eyes were steady, and yet they shone with something that made Anna's throat ache. Anna, he said, voice clear, you saved my sons. You saved my conscience, and you have been brave in this house in a way that requires more courage than the river did. Anna's breath shook. Karl continued, and his voice softened but did not weaken. I cannot promise you a life without judgment, but I can promise you a life where you are not alone while you face it, Anna whispered. Karl. He reached for her hands. This time, he did not hesitate. His touch was warm, steady, not possessive, just present. Father Matthias began the words that bound two people, simple and solemn. Anna answered when asked, voice trembling but clear. I will. Karl's reply was firm, as if anchoring the world. I will. The dowager watched without softness, but without hostility. Her eyes moved once to the twins who stood in the front pew, dressed neatly, faces bright and wet with tears they did not hide. Felix sniffed loudly, then declared to Lucas in a stage whisper, I told you she would stay. Lucas whispered back, fierce with devotion. She is family now. When the vows were finished, Karl lifted Anna's hand and pressed his lips to her knuckles, a gesture so restrained and yet so intimate that Anna's eyes filled again. He leaned closer, voice meant only for her. You are seen, he whispered. Anna's voice broke. I have not been seen in so long. Karl's gaze held hers. Then let me spend my life proving I mean it. The twins surged forward the moment they were allowed. Felix grabbed Anna's other hand, solemn as a tiny judge. You must eat every day. Anna let out a shaky laugh. Yes, Your Highness. Felix frowned. Do not call me that. Lucas wrapped his arms around Anna's waist with fierce care, then looked up at Karl. Are you happy? Karl's voice softened. Yes. Lucas nodded, satisfied, then looked at Anna. Are you happy? Anna's breath shook. She looked at the boy's face, at Felix's stubborn pride, at Karl's steady hands, at Father Matthias's calm eyes, at Dr. Emmerich's watchful posture, at the dowager's stiff acceptance. She felt something unclench inside her that had been clenched for years. "Yes," she whispered. "I am." Later, when the small gathering dispersed, Karl led Anna through a quieter corridor toward a room that was not a sick room anymore. A room with a chair by the window, a small table, and a fire already laid. Anna paused at the threshold. Karl noticed. "What is it?" Anna swallowed. "This feels unreal." Karl's voice was gentle. "Then let us make it real with ordinary things." Anna looked at him. "Ordinary?" Karl nodded. "Tea, bread, and a door that closes because you choose it to close, not because you are being shut out." Anna's throat tightened. "You understand more than I thought." Karl's mouth tightened. "I am learning. From you." They sat together with tea, not as prince and beggar, but as two people who had watched ice break and refused to pretend it had not. Anna turned the locket over in her fingers. Karl's gaze flicked to it. "Will you keep it?" Anna nodded. "Yes." Karl's voice softened. "Even now?" Anna met his eyes. "Especially now. It reminds me of what it cost to arrive here." Karl reached over and closed his hand gently over hers, enclosing the locket between their palms. "Then it will remind us both." A knock sounded. Felix's voice came through the door, urgent and delighted. "Father, Anna, we made a plan." Karl let out a quiet breath that might have been laughter. "Enter." The twins burst in with the governess trailing, resigned. Lucas held up a folded paper. "We wrote rules." Anna blinked. "Rules?" Felix announced. "Rules for our family." Karl lifted an eyebrow. "Is that so?" Felix read, very seriously, stumbling over a word or two. "Rule 1. No one goes on ice ever again." Lucas nodded fiercely. "Ever." Felix continued. "Rule 2. Anna must eat soup with noodles." Anna laughed, unable to stop it. "That is not a rule. That is your preference." Felix frowned. "It is a rule." Lucas added, "Rule 3. Father must blink at the fire." Karl looked offended. "I blink." Felix stared. "Not enough." Anna covered her mouth with her hand, laughter shaking her shoulders. It felt strange, like wearing sunlight, but it did not burn. Karl's gaze stayed on her, and when her laughter quieted, he leaned closer, voice low. "This is what you gave them," he said. "And me." Anna's eyes stung again. "I only jumped." Karl shook his head gently. "You did more. You reminded us that love is not a privilege, it is a choice." Anna looked at the boys, at their earnest faces, at their stubborn insistence that she belonged. She looked back at Karl. "And if the city whispers again?" she asked quietly. Karl's hand tightened around hers, steady. "Then we will live loudly with kindness until the whispers grow tired." Anna's breath shook. "That sounds exhausting." Karl's mouth softened. "Then we will rest too. Together." The governess cleared her throat, trying to pretend she was not smiling. "Your Highnesses, that is enough rules for one day." Felix protested. "There is a rule 4. Lucas nodded. "The best one." Anna raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" Felix read carefully with all the gravity of a child delivering law. "Rule 4. No one is allowed to be invisible." Silence fell, gentle and stunned. Anna felt her throat tighten until she thought she might not be able to breathe. Karl looked at his sons as if seeing them anew, then looked at Anna. Anna's voice came out in a whisper. "All right," she said, and her eyes filled, but she did not hide it. "I accept." Karl's hand found her cheek just briefly, the touch tender and respectful, and his voice was low enough that only she could hear it. "Welcome home," he said. Anna closed her eyes for a moment, and in the quiet behind her eyelids, she saw the frozen river again, the crack, the dark water, the crowd that had stood still. Then she opened her eyes to this room, to these voices, to this warmth that did not demand she disappear. She did not forget the cold. She simply no longer lived inside it. And in that, she found the kind of freedom that outlasts winter. The freedom of being chosen and choosing back every day. Thank you so much for listening to this story, all the way to the end. We hope it moved you as much as it moved us while telling it. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave us a comment telling us where you're listening from and what you like the most. Rate this story from 0 to 10. What score would you give it? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like as a show of support. That really motivates us to keep creating and sharing more stories full of emotion and life lessons. And before we go, we want to remind you that an exciting and heartwarming story recommendation will appear on the final screen. If you'd like to enjoy it, just click on the video. Thank you once again for being here, and we'll see you in the next story.